Pakshay Ucharitam stoma mudirna sama Ucharitam stoma madhirna sama Nirikshadastasya yafashesha Siddheshvara bhishtuta siddhamarga Akarnayam pattararatindra bhakshair Ucharitam stoma madhirna sama Nirikshidastasya yafashesha Siddheshvara bhishtuta siddhamarga Akarnayam pattararatindra bhakshair Ucharitam stoma madhirna sama Nirikshidastasya yafashesha Akarnayam pattararatindra bhakshair Ucharitam stoma madhirna sama Nirikshidastasya yafashesha Marga Akarnayan pattararatindra bhakshay Ucharitam stoma madhirna sama Nirikshadatasya. While he was looking on, Yayo, he left Ashesha or Siddha Ishvara by liberated souls. Abhishtuta is praised. Siddha Marga, the way to the spiritual world. Akarnayan, hearing. Patrarata Indra, of Garuda, king of birds. Pakshai, by the wind. No, by the wings. Ucharitam, vibrated. Stomam, hymns. Uddiyana Sama, forming the Samaveda. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. While the sage stood looking on, the Lord left by the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, a path extolled by all great liberated souls. The sage stood listening as the hymns forming the basis of the Samaveda were vibrated by the flapping wings of the Lord's carrier Garuda. Purport. In the Vedic literature, it is stated that the two wings of the transcendental bird Garuda, who carries the Lord everywhere, are two divisions of the Samaveda known as Brihat and Rathantara. Garuda works as the carrier of the Lord. Therefore, he is considered the transcendental prince of all carriers. With his two wings, Garuda began to vibrate the Samaveda, which is chanted by great sages to pacify the Lord. The Lord is worshipped by Brahma, by Lord Shiva, by Garuda, and other demigods with selected poems. And great sages worship him with the hymns of Vedic literatures, such as the Upanishads and Samaveda. These Samaveda utterances are automatically heard by the devotees when another great devotee of the Lord, Garuda, flaps his wings. It is clearly stated here that the sage Kardama began to look to the path by which the Lord was being carried to Vaikuntha. It is thus confirmed that the Lord descends from his abode, Vaikuntha, in the spiritual sky and is carried by Garuda. The path which leads to Vaikuntha is not worshipped by the ordinary class of transcendentalists. Only those who are already liberated from material bondage can become devotees of the Lord. Those who are not liberated from material bondage cannot understand transcendental devotional service. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated, Yatatam api siddhanam. There are many persons who are trying to attain perfection by striving for liberation from material bondage, and those who are actually liberated are called Brahma Bhuta or Siddha. Only the Siddhas, or persons liberated from material bondage, can become devotees. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who is engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service is already liberated from the influence of the modes of material nature. Here it is also confirmed that the path of devotional service is worshipped by liberated persons, not the conditioned souls. The conditioned soul cannot understand the devotional service of the Lord. Kardama Muni was a liberated soul who saw the Supreme Lord in person face to face. There was no doubt that he was liberated, and thus he could see Garuda carrying the Lord on their way to Vaikuntha and hear the flapping of his wings, vibrating the sound of Hare Krishna, the essence of the Samaveda. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangung Langayate Gerim Yat Kripa Tam Ahang Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swahavanantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So while the sage stood looking on, the Lord left by the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, a path extolled by all great liberated souls. The sage stood listening as the hymns forming the basis of the Samaveda were vibrated by the flapping winds of the Lord's carry Garuda. Und nun eine Frage, was ist das für eine Musik da im Hintergrund? Was ist das? Kann irgendwer sich darum kümmern, dass man das zumindest leiser macht? Da ist irgend so eine Musik im Hintergrund, ein Bass, wahrscheinlich von einem Kirtan, da wurde ein Bass dabei gespielt. Vielleicht kommt es von der Küche. Ich weiß nicht. Das. Ah nee, der sitzt hier. Ja. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yeah, we are hearing a wonderful narration here in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of wonderful narrations about the glories of the devotees. And here we hear about Kardama Muni's darshan of the Lord, who is now leaving. So this is the end of the darshan situation. And Srila Prabhupada speaks that it's clearly said here that the Lord comes from the spiritual world, from Vaikuntha. Why? Because he's going back there. And this is indicated by the word Siddha Margaha in the second line, the last two verses. Siddha Marga means the path of the perfection, or the perfect path. So that the Lord was traversing, flying back on Garuda to Vaikuntha via this Siddha Marga. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary says Siddha Marga refers to the Lord himself, that the Lord is the Siddha Marga for devotees. And Prabhupada adds here that the Siddha Marga is the actual path which also the Lord traversed. But either way, same practical conclusion for us, that we focus on Krishna and either follow him on the Siddha Marga or use him in that sense, use is maybe not the right words, but that he facilitates Siddha or perfection for the devotees who are Krishna conscious. So in the first paragraph of this verse, Prabhupada focuses on the wonderful effect of Garuda's flying, or when he's flapping his wings, that there's a sound created of the Samaveda. And why the Samaveda? We know there are 4 Vedas, right? 4 of the so-called original Vedic texts, or the texts of the Vedas which deal with karma kanda, or more the material side of life. And then we have the Rik, the Atharva, Yajur, and Samaveda. Actually, Samaveda is the second. And it said the Samaveda is the most beautiful. It consists of very beautiful hymns. I never read Samaveda, so I cannot tell you anything about it. I only partially read into the Rig Veda, which was also not so exciting in one sense. It's very technical, and there are many hymns to the gods, and it's very big. Rig Veda is also a very voluminous text. But it said the Samaveda consists of the most beautiful hymns in this Vedic literature and glorify the Lord. So Garuda, when he flaps his wings, this creates a sound, and the sound are the hymns, the mantras, the stotra, as said also here in the verse stomam, the hymns of the Samaveda, which is very beautiful to hear. Also the Bhagavatam, right, is very beautiful to hear. If we just hear the Bhagavatam in its Sanskrit original, it's very beautiful. And then Prabhupada speaks in the second paragraph, which is the last also, there are 2 paragraphs in this purport, about the Siddha, about perfection. And starts to say that Kardama Muni is perfect, or is liberated. Okay, first about the path, and then he says that he was liberated. And quotes from the Bhagavad Gita 4:3. Manusyanam sahasreshu kashit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kashin mangveti tatuda. And Prabhupada quotes the 3rd line, yatatam api siddhanam. And this verse says that out of thousands of people, manusyanam sahasreshu, one may try to reach siddha, perfection. And out of thousands of those who are engaging in this endeavor to reach perfection, rarely one knows me in truth, Krishna says. Rarely one knows me in truth. So it's very rare to understand Krishna. And also out of those who engage directly in Krishna consciousness, it's rare that someone attains the highest, right? And we can see it also amongst so many devotees, especially starting devotees. So many try, but so many leave again, right? This was already recognized in Prabhupada's time. And the devotee wondered, must be a very enthusiastic devotee, was not used that sometimes devotees can leave. It was unimaginable. And he said to Prabhupada, how can someone leave ISKCON? How can someone leave the Hare Krishna movement? How can someone stop chanting? And Prabhupada said, don't be astonished. Don't wonder about those who leave. You should be more astonished about those who stay. Yeah, and it's true. It's not easy to stay, right? So many challenges might come. And it seems to be easier to give in to the old ways of life. Even though, it's actually not so nice, but, okay. Weakness of heart. Hridaya daubalyam, it's said in Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna says, don't submit to this weakness of heart, Arjuna. But it seems to be easier. Yeah. So we should be always guarding carefully against these temptations of the material world. And we should never think, I'm safe, I'm good. So many great devotees also, so-called great devotees, it was assumed they were great devotees, suddenly left. And it's like, how can that be? Somehow or other, right? It's very tricky, it's not easy. And also the Bhagavatam is full of stories where someone Of course, they always come out glorious in the end. Ajamil, probably the most famous example of someone who really fell down and then became really glorious. But somehow or other, why did he become glorious? Because somehow or other he was holding on to the lotus feet of the Lord, not because of his strength. Yeah. So, yeah, thousands of people try for perfection, but it's rarely attained. Kashin mang veti tattvataha, Krishna says. It's very rare that someone really understands me. It's very rare. But still we try for it. And then Prabhupada says, those who perform devotional service, they are liberated. Those who are directly engaged in devotional service, he says, they are liberated. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. What is it? Samasameshu bhuteshu mat pagdim labate param. Right? 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where it said those who are already Brahma bhuta prasannatma, means those who are already self-satisfied, spiritually happy, right? Prasannatma means they are very happy, they are fulfilled, they are Brahma bhuta, they are on a spiritual platform. Brahma bhuta prasanna. Na shochati na kankshati. They don't lament and they don't, they are not eager for anything. Yeah, they don't have desires, they are not striving for anything anymore. They don't lament, oh, this is so terrible, this and that, and I'm afraid, and problem. Oh, they are not like lamenting about anything. Neither for the living nor for the dead. And they are not striving for anything anymore in the material world. Raga dvesha vimukta istu indriyas vishaicharan atma, what is it? Atma? Vashaya atma vidyatma prasadam adigachati. Those who got this prasadam, this mercy, they are free from raga and dvesha. Raga and dvesha means also the same. Raga means attachment, longing, striving. And dvesha means hating. So either I love you or I hate you. The duality of the material world. Vimukta, they are free from that. Yeah? And also in the 4th chapter, Vita raga bhaya krodha. We spoke yesterday about this same topic. Yeah? Vita raga bhaya krodha. So these three things, raga, bhaya, krodha, are like the most crucial problems we have. And there is added to the hating and loving, the fearing. Right? And the fearing. And also, the spiritual person is free of that. And because he's free of these strong urges or dynamics or emotions, that's why he can engage in devotional service. This is the qualification, the necessary qualification to engage in devotional service. Because then Krishna says, those who are freed of all that, they engage in devotional service. And this is what Prabhupada says here also. So we can see these are two kinds of devotional service. The one where we are still controlled to some degree by these material emotions and energies, where we're not completely free of that, and the other devotional service which is free of that, pure devotional service. Krishna speaks there about pure devotional service. So in our acharyas, they explain how bhakti develops from this beginning stage where it's called anishtita bhajana kriya, devotional service which is interrupted. Anishtita means it's always interrupted by what? By anarthas. And then the stage of nishtita bhajana kriya, devotional service, which is not interrupted. Why? Because we don't have these distractions anymore of the mind and the heart, where we are not anymore so much absorbed in our ego, so to say. We are not so self-centered anymore. All these material attachments, they are coming from the self-centeredness. And this is overcome, and then we can really do devotional service, bhajan, and which is very powerful, very effective, very pleasurable. And this devotional service transforms then, or brings about the fruit of taste, of attachment, of loving sentiments, and pure love to Krishna. Right? Ruchi, asakti, bhava, and prema. But this comes only after the anartha nivritti, when these anarthas are come. So then we can see then devotees who leave, they left in this struggle phase. Who is leaving ecstatic situation, right? If we are happy in devotional service, in chanting, in reading, everything, wow, it's so ecstatic. Why would you leave? Why would you do something else? Why would you leave Krishna? You would not. So devotees are not leaving because of Krishna, but they leave because of this struggle which was too intense. Not always, but this is often a reason. Yeah. So, and this phase is unfortunately also a very long phase. Anartha Nivritti is a very long phase where we have to struggle. Yeah, where we have to struggle to overcome it. The anarthas, it's a very long phase. But Krishna is merciful. He helps. He gives also nectar. It's not that we don't have any blissful experience. Doesn't mean that we are already on a very high level, but Krishna gives already. Yeah? So we should hold on to that experience and build on that and say, oh, there was the nectar. There was the Amrita. I experienced something there. Okay, how did it work that I experienced it? I should do this and build on that and expand it to overcome any weakness. And we should dive into this ocean of nectar, in this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We should dive into this. Yeah? This should be our prime and main focus in life. How can I swim in this nectar ocean of Krishna consciousness? Yeah? How can I swim and dive and like Krishna swimming in the Yamuna? He was joyfully swimming, even though there was a big snake waiting, but he didn't care. Right? So every one of us has his way to connect to Krishna. And Krishna is so merciful. He gives so many ways how to connect with him. Right? Some like deity worship. They say, oh, this is very easy for me. If I see the Lord and worship the Lord and pray to him, I'm immediately connected and I feel this Krishna consciousness. I experience Krishna. Some do it through the Bhagavatam, holy name, or other ways. Yeah. So we have to build on that and dive into that. So, yeah, and this is very interesting. Yeah, Kardama Muni, even though he was having material desires, even though this material desires is how much material desires did he really have? Why did he want to marry? You know, he was like living in a seclusion, right? Meditating, being spiritually nicely situated, but suddenly had this desire. Where did it come from that he wanted to marry? Was it really his desire? Was it because it was the order? Maybe he understood the Lord wants me to do that, or Brahma wants me to do that, because and Kapila Dev will appear, and was it just his duty? Was it also his desire? But let's say, because like we remember in Priyavrata, in the 5th canto, he was similarly situated. He was living on a mountain, what is Madana mountain or something, on some Vedic mountain, right? There are many Vedic mountains in the Bhagavatam. And he was sitting there and meditating and being perfectly happy. And suddenly, who came? Was this Manu? I think it was Manu, who came. Also Manu, yeah. And said, oh, Priyavrata, it's nice that you sit around here doing kind of nothing. Would you mind becoming the king of the universe? And what did he say? No, thank you. No, thank you, but thank you. And it's all right here. It's cool. And I said, yeah, I understand your preference, but we really need you doing that. And then Brahma came also to convince him. And in the end, he gave in. And became the king of the universe, became really powerful and founded a dynasty and all that. But he didn't want. So was it similar with Kardama Muni, that he understood, actually, I don't really want that, but it's necessary to create children, which became then also the wives of great sages, right? Was it that he understood this the will of the Lord, so I do it? Or was it only his desire? So, yeah, but still, Prabhupada says he was liberated. He was liberated, but there's also a difference between pure bhakti and liberation. That we have to see also. When it said here he was liberated, doesn't necessarily mean he was on the highest platform of perfection. I don't say he was not, but just it said liberated. Liberated is mukti, meaning he was not attracted to material world anymore. Liberated. And in this regard, I want to quote a nice verse from Bilva Mangala Thakur, right? The famous verse. Bilva Mangala Thakur said, let's see. Bhaktis tvai stiratara bhagavan yadi syat daivena na palati divya kishora murti mukti svayam mukulitanjali sevate sman dharmarta kama kataya samaya pratiksha. So he says, if I'm engaged in devotional service unto you, my Lord, then very easily can I perceive your presence everywhere. This was also said in this purport. Prabhupada said he could see the Lord because he was liberated, and only those who are liberated, they can hear the Lord, perceive the Lord. Yeah, so this was the symptom. That's why Prabhupada said he was liberated, because he could see the Lord. And as far as liberation is concerned, as far as now mukti is concerned, I think that liberation stands at my door with folded hands, waiting to serve me. It's a quite powerful statement. Huh? Mukti, or with folded hands to serve for those who are in devotional service. And all material conveniences of Dharma, Artha, and Kama stand with her. Because it's a Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So those four most desirable goals for materialists are standing at the door of the bhakta, waiting to serve him. Please, can I give you nice economic development? Can I give you many material things? Karma. Can I give you liberation? Everything is standing at the door of a devotee, of such a devotee. And also Prabhupada said that mystic powers, pure devotee has all mystic powers. No problem. Yeah, they are also waiting at the door. But he will never use them or misuse them. Yeah, it's different. And this is why such devotees, they purchase Krishna. Because Krishna sees he really, really, really wants only me. And this is pure love. Pure love. And those who have this pure love, Krishna is their property. And we as devotees, in this line, in this understanding, we want to become like them. We want to become pure devotees like that. We want to have a pure heart, which is free of any material desires. And there the example of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, this is the highest ideal, because those devotees, they have pure love to Krishna. They want nothing but Krishna. You can offer them anything, they would never say yes to it. Never. For themselves. They have not a tinge of material, egoistic desires. And so that's why they are worshipped. They only want to love Krishna, want to serve Krishna, they want nothing else. And we should understand these principles. This is why our acharyas wrote these books, that we understand what is pure devotional service, because not many people understand it. Also in the spiritual field, it's said here in this verse, Manusyanam sahasrashu kashitya tati siddhaye. Thousands strive for siddha, for perfection, but they don't get it. Why? Because they don't understand how it works, what it is. That pure devotional service is the perfection and how it works. And so there are many religions, many philosophies, many spiritual traditions which might be even sincere and honest, but without knowledge, the right philosophy, they strive for something less than pure devotional service. Yeah. And it looks maybe wonderful, it looks maybe nice, but it's not. Compared to pure devotional service, nothing can be great. Yeah? This exclusive understanding we should have. And Vohad said, not everything what glitters is gold. And this is Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the age of lots of glitter. And everything looks so attractive and fancy and nice and wonderful. Yeah? But they are